Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and this is my week in review and ending today, January 5th, 2020. So it's crazy, we're in a new year, new decade, and another week of movies and TV shows for me to chat about this week. Actually, this week's going to be much heavier on the movies versus the TV shows. And starting with some of the stuff that I got to stream or watch on Netflix DVD, I got to watch Meeting Gorbachev, which is on Hulu, and this is a documentary from Werner Herzog. And he interviews Mikhail Gorbachev, who was the leader of Russia. It's very interesting because Herzog brings a very distinct interviewing style and personality to the film, and you get to hear a lot from this man and really behind the scenes of a lot of things, a lot of important moments in history. It's an extremely interesting documentary. It's something I would highly recommend. So go check that out on Hulu. Now, on my Netflix DVD, I got to watch The Day of the Jackal, which is a really strong thriller, and this is centered around this assassin who's hired to kill President de Gaulle of France. This takes place sometime after World War II, and has a strong cast of Michael Ironsdale, and it has Derek Jacobi, and it is a thriller that there isn't a whole lot of action, but there's a lot of tension and building tension, and you actually spend a decent amount of time with the Jackal, this assassin, and get to know him as a character, which made things extremely more interesting along the way. And this is a long movie, it's 2 hours and 25 minutes, but the tension builds, and you're in it, you're not quite sure where it's going to go, and it explodes, and it reaches that point at that climax, and I think it's a really powerful thriller. It's something I would recommend, especially those who enjoy period pieces, as this takes place in post-World War II Europe, and it's something I would recommend. Now, the biggest film that I watched this week, and I hadn't seen this up to this point, was End of Watch, and after watching this film, I can see why David Ayer got a lot of attention after this film, because this was one of the most real, organic, and chemistry-filled friendships I've seen in a movie in a long time. And Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena give fantastic performances. How this film's put together with this documentary style, the handheld cameras, the dash cams, everything. You're just in it, and you really spend that time with them. You really feel the chemistry between Jake Gyllenhaal and Anna Kendrick. David Harbour pops up, Frank Grillo pops up. The tension is incredible. There's some scenes in this film that are really hard to watch, and you're just on the edge of your seat, and you're in it too with how this film is shot. This was an incredible film. I was kind of mad at myself I haven't watched this up to this point, but I absolutely loved End of Watch. I highly recommend it. Got to watch The Mountain, which is streaming on Hulu, and this is starring Ty Sheridan and Jeff Goldblum as this interesting scientist, a surgeon, and it is a beautifully shot film, and it's very engrossing, the style of and the atmosphere and the coloring, the saturation of how this is all shot. It's compelling visually. It's pretty abstract, and you kind of just see this boiling point that Ty Sheridan's character goes through, and Jeff Goldblum is really strong in this film. And it's a weird film, and I don't feel like it 100% comes together by the end, but I think it was an interesting film, and I would recommend it to those cinephiles out there just for the experience. I watched Body on Brighton Rock, which I also got to watch on Hulu, and this started out as like a super campy, goofy, like Netflix movie, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting this, and then it gets super, super dark and grim, and the music gets raw, and I'm just like, somebody needs to do a better job of smoothly transitioning the tone in this film, because it was all over the place. And that was really discouraging, because it's like, it has moments where it's really tense-filled, And, like, you could be on the edge of your seat in this film at points, but other points it's just, like, a hot mess and weird tonally, and your main character is really whiny and annoying. And there's some plot choices and some decisions made in this film that felt like could have went either way, and they just really didn't work for me. And it's just strange, like, rug pull out from under you at moment at the end. It's just like, what? Okay. I don't get this. This is just weird, and it's kind of a hot mess, and it didn't really click for me. And I probably wouldn't recommend Body on Brighton Rock. And then the last film I got to watch was a Standoff at Sparrow Creek. And this is also on Hulu and is a great thriller. And it's so taut. The script is very claustrophobic. And James Badgedale just really taking in like this small group of militiamen. And there was a shooting and somebody had something to do with it. And these investigations, these interrogations going on. Feels like moments straight out of The Thing, and it's very paranoia driven, and it really worked for me, and I was really impressed with this film. I would love to give this film another watch as well. I highly recommend checking it out. Now on the tube portion of this weekend review for TV, got to finish The Witcher. What a hot mess of a show this is. There's some fun moments. I really enjoyed the moments with Geralt and him fighting monsters and stuff like that, which honestly there was not enough of that going on in this show because there's so many different storylines and all these different timelines that it takes until like the 5th episode for the show to acknowledge that there's alternate timelines, and you're just supposed to understand that this is all twisty and turny, and it's trying to be like, oh, non-linear storytelling, non-linear narrative, boom, what a twist, and it's just like, no, I'm already confused and checked out of the show by now. And I don't know, there's fun moments. But really, the only storyline that I felt really, really dug into was Geralt's. And, like, Henry Cavill gives a fun performance. And the memes are great. But this show, like, I hope Season 2's better. I'll give it a chance. But, like, this show didn't really wow me. I watched the second half of the first season of Love and on Netflix. And you can definitely tell it's a Judd Apatow show because, like, these characters can be really unlikable. And there's a hard balance with that. And, like, This Is 40 is probably the best example of when it just falls on the opposite side of not working. Because then you're just like, I don't care. I'm interested to see where the show goes with these two main characters together. And, like, I like Julian Jacobs. And, I don't know. I'm just don't care about these characters enough to really feel super invested. But people have told me it gets better with the second season, so I'm definitely going to give it another chance. I finished the third season of The Man in the High Castle, which season 2 kind of like, turned me off from the show because, I don't know, it just didn't click for me. And this season, the third season, really got things back on track. It dealt with a lot of interesting things. William Forsythe coming as J. Edgar Hoover was an interesting choice. And dealing with the Smith family drama. And there's some key characters that come to shocking ends in this season. And I'm not going to get any more into that, but there's some shocking moments. They really dig into the science fiction in this season, which is really cool because I feel like it adds to the show. And it opens up so many intriguing things about it. And I actually started watching season 4, but I'm not going to talk anything about that until next week. I'm assuming I'm going to finish it. I watched the first 15 episodes of Golden Girls with my girlfriend over New Year's Eve. And what a fun show. I grew up watching it with my grandmom and my mom. And Dorothy, Sophia, Blanche, and just like this group of older women and such great performances from everybody. And everybody is so sassy. The one-liners come off like crazy. Some of them feel a little staged and feel like a little standoff. Like, feels like stand-up. But, like, it's so funny. And you care about these characters because you get to see their friendships. You get to see them living with each other. And they deal with some stuff, especially Dorothy with the issues with Stan, her ex-husband, and Blanche with her sisters. And like all these different things, and like Sophia and the rest of her kids, which she loves all of them except for her one son. And it's just so much fun and sassy and hilarious. I laugh so many times watching it, and I look forward to keep watching it with my girlfriend. And then there's really only one episode that I got to watch of a new show. I held off on Jeff Goldblum because I didn't get to watch it with my girlfriend, and I've been watching that with her. But I watched Servant, and this is really a Rupert Grint-centric episode, and there's some crazy stuff that goes on here and brings up so many more questions, but answers some very interesting ones too, and keeps the show going. And Rupert Grint gets a chance to really shine in this episode, and there's some new layers with their dad being introduced in this episode and what he wants to do. Where's this fake baby? Where's this stolen baby? What's going on here? The show is crazy, and there's only 2 more episodes left this season, so I'm on the edge of my seat trying to see where this goes. But that's my weekend review. And if you want to comment about any of these shows or movies, just comment below and let's talk movies, let's talk TV, and thank you as always for supporting your Wasteland reviewer.